In the strangest of times that we now find ourselves in, who better to get advice from than Warren Buffett? Because not only is he one of the greatest investors of all time, but he is also very old. And I know in America we all love placing our elderly people in faraway retirement homes where they die in sadness, but there is benefits of keeping them near. That's why Indian people keep them so close, like real close, right next to you, because they do know a lot of stuff. Like Warren Buffett, for example, has had some crazy three-way relationship with a wife and a girlfriend, and he managed that for years. That's the type of wisdom and experience that we need to learn from. So in this video, we're gonna go over some recent advice that came from Warren Buffett via his business partner, Charlie Munger, who's even older than Warren Buffett. He just turned 96 years old and he's still at it. So we're gonna go over what they're thinking at Berkshire right now and how we can invest like them. And also at the end of this video, I have an incredible and actually shocking interview with Warren Buffett that has been uncovered recently. It's just on a different level. Like, you're gonna see Warren Buffett in a whole new light. You do not want to miss that. I watched it 3 days ago and my heart rate has not gone down since. But before we get into it, Strategy Builder Pro is open. And this is our training program where we teach you how to build that professional level strategy so you can survive crazy times like right now. Only open till Sunday though at midnight. So click the link down below in the description and comments to get started today. And you guys all know Warren Buffett's most famous quote that everyone loves to quote: "Be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful." Yeah, everyone quotes it. Nobody really knows how to execute on it. And that's because no one has that investment plan like Buffett does. Cause what? Oh, is it so easy to just be buying up everything when everyone is scared? If everyone is scared, then yeah, there's probably a reason to be scared. You can't just be blindly buying and hoping and not having your risk under control and not knowing when to sell. Buffett is able to say what he said because he has that plan in place. He's a value investor. He has very strict rules. So you don't have to be a value investor, but you do need those same rules in your strategy so you know what to do. When to buy, when to sell, how long to hold on to winners, when to cut your losers, when to add more into your account. All those things we go over in Strategy Builder Pro. So check that out. Link down below in the description and comments. Closes Sunday, so do it now. And now let's move on to this beautiful legend right here. 96 years old, never looked better. Mr. Charlie Munger, who everyone likes to say is the smarter of the two. And he's 7 years older than Warren Buffett, so you know he should be smarter. And the Wall Street Journal here just contacted him and they had a nice little interview. Wall Street Journal has provided us with such a wonderful reading experience, just surrounded by banners and ads, and yeah, it's terrible, but you know, we'll go through it anyway. So Mr. Munger, the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, is Warren Buffett's best buddy, long-term business partner. He likes to say that one of the keys to great investing results is sitting on your ass. That means doing nothing the vast majority of the time, but buying with aggression when bargains abound. Now this ass sitting that he's talking about is a huge theme in investing, because just like old people tell you that patience is a virtue, it turns out patience is a virtue, because that's what you need in the market. Most of the time in the market, you are sitting on the sideline waiting for an actual opportunity, that fat pitch to come. But the market does not distribute those opportunities equally. It's not like, oh, every 7 days I'm going to get this great pitch and I'm going to swing at it. You don't know when that pitch is coming. So you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. That's all really investing is. It's not the high-flying action that you want it to be, like in Billions or Wolf of Wall Street. It's just sitting, looking around, reading. There's a lot of reading, studying. It's like school, but then you never know when the test is coming. It's not that casino experience that a lot of people who aren't familiar with investing and trading want it to be. You could even go back to Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, that classic book, you know, Jesse Livermore, who might be arguably even greater than Warren Buffett. But one of the best quotes in that book I got highlighted right here: "Men who can both be right and sit tight are uncommon. I found it one of the hardest things to learn, but it's only after a stock operator has firmly grasped this that he can make the big money. It is literally true that millions come easier to a trader after he knows how to trade than hundreds did in the days of his ignorance." So he was talking about the same thing, and his strategy was way different than Warren Buffett. He wasn't a value investor. He was a global macro guy, like the first global macro guy. So in the Great Depression, he made 100 million because he was just betting, swinging big. But even him, when he's doing all this betting and more like trading, he was a big trader. Even he realized that, hey, the big money is going to come from actually sitting patiently in these trends, letting your trade work out, or not taking those stupid trades that look so tempting, sitting on the sideline with your cash, being patient for the right pitch to come along. And that sitting tight and being patient and not doing extra moves that you don't need, it is really tough. And if you're still not getting the point, then you can listen to a man who is way smarter than Warren Buffett, way smarter than Jesse Livermore, an absolute legend whose life advice you should be following every day. This man right here, George Costanza. Because you know what he said to Jerry when they had that pitch meeting for NBC and had to come up with that sitcom? They were sitting at that diner table, and George said to Jerry, everybody's doing something. We'll do nothing. And I remember hearing that for the first time as a child watching Seinfeld, and I thought, wow, that is the way you live your life. Nowadays, people tell me, aka coronavirus. And I'm just like, aka oil is collapsing. aka you're pregnant. Nothing. I do nothing. It's a beautiful way to live. It's a beautiful way to invest. I'm surprised they haven't made this man a saint yet. Soon enough, soon enough. But this whole sitting, waiting, being patient, that's pretty much the theme of what Charlie's about to tell us that him and Warren are doing. So overall in this interview, Charlie made it clear that he regards this as a time for caution rather than action. And you know, these aren't the guys who are scared of making moves. Like in 2008 and 2009, Berkshire spent tens of billions of dollars investing in a bunch of companies like General Electric, Goldman Sachs. They bought companies like Burlington straight up. So now when you ask them, are they about to try and buy businesses on that same scale now during this crisis? So Charlie had to say, well, we're basically like captains of a ship when the worst typhoon that's ever happened comes. And we're just trying to get through this typhoon. We'd rather come out of it with a whole lot of liquidity. We're not playing, oh, goody goody, everything's going to hell. Let's plunge 100% of the reserves into buying these businesses. They are playing it safe to hold on to their liquidity, which is another important concept that a lot of investors forget. Cash is actually a position. Because when there are no good opportunities in the market and things are too dangerous, you want to stay in cash. Because a return of 0 in cash is way better than a negative return in anything else. Plus, if you got cash on hand when things do turn around and you do see that fat pitch coming, you have money to deploy. You have that dry powder. If you're fully invested, it's going to take a long time to unwind all that and redeploy elsewhere. And what is Berkshire sitting on right now cash-wise? Like 128 billion or something crazy? And that's not just so that these two can swim in a huge vault full of money, it's so that they're safe and they're ready to deploy when they need to. In fact, instead of buying companies, these guys were selling airlines not too long ago. And you've probably heard before how they evaluate investments. Either they know what's going on, or if they don't, they throw it into the too hard bucket. So with the moves that they're making right now, the fact that they're not jumping in, maybe this virus is in the too hard bucket. And again, when you don't know what's going on, cash becomes an even better position. See, Warren just wants to keep Berkshire safe for people who have 90% of their net worth invested in it. We're always going to be on the safe side. That doesn't mean we couldn't do something pretty aggressive or see some opportunity, but basically we will be fairly conservative, and that way we'll emerge on the other side very strong. In movies and TV and stuff, it's always exciting to see that hedge fund manager go for it when everyone else was scared, and that's because it wouldn't make a good movie, right, if they weren't doing that. But in real investing, it pays to be cautious, pays to be conservative. There are times to absolutely go for it, but they are rare. So really, you should pat yourself on the back if you're one of the few investors that is able to stay conservative like that and cautious and be able to wait like we already talked about. So then they asked if hordes of corporate executives were calling Berkshire begging for capital, because Buffett and Munger and Berkshire, they're like the modern day JP Morgan, back when he had to bail out the entire economy in the Great Depression, or that, great crash. A lot of people expect Buffett to swoop in bad situations as well. But Munger said no, they aren't asking for capital. The typical reaction is that people are frozen. Take the airlines, they don't know what the hell is going on. They're all negotiating with the government, but they're not calling Warren. They're frozen. They've never seen anything like it. Their playbook does not even have this whole corona thing as a possibility. He said it again, everybody's just frozen and the phone is not ringing off the hook. Everybody's just frozen in the position they're in. So Berkshire is so involved in so many companies, it's interesting to hear them say this, because if all these executives and businesses are scared and they're frozen and they don't know what to do, they didn't plan for this, then why is the stock market going up like it is? Because if you look at the stock market, it looks like, hey, the economy is all great. But as we said in so many videos recently, if you go talk to these executives or to the people who are actually managing and running these small businesses, they're screwed and they literally don't know what to do. And the whole government support thing, half those funds aren't even coming. Like the PPP loans, they already ran out. Only a small percentage of businesses actually got them. Yeah, they're trying to reload the funds right now so that more businesses can get help, but the whole process is so slow that every day you lag and that you wait, that's another day that another business is collapsing and they're not going to reopen. So Warren and Charlie, they're not even trying to guess how long this downturn is going to last or how bad it could get. Munger said nobody in America has ever seen anything else else like this. This thing is different. Everybody talks as if they know what's going to happen, but nobody knows what's going to happen. That's another crazy thing that's happening during this whole mess. You got these investment banks coming out and saying, hey, the bottom is in, the bear market is over, we're back in a bull market. It's like, really? How do you know that? Uncertainty right now is at all-time highs, which is terrible for the stock market because the stock market hates uncertainty more than anything else. So we don't know when a vaccine will come. We don't know if going away from lockdowns is going to work, if everyone's going to get infected again. We don't know what the effective treatments are right now. There's a lot of things we don't know. But if you ask the media or if you ask these analysts, they're going to tell you that they do know what's going to happen because I guess that's their job because they're in a different business. You know, they're not traders, they're not investors, they don't have their money on the line. The sign of a good trader or investor is being able to accept the uncertainty in the game. Being able to say that you yourself don't know something, that's a sign of strength. Where most of the time, newer investors and really anyone in any topic, they never want to say, I don't know, because they don't want to seem stupid. But who cares whether you sound stupid or not when your money's on the line? Because you're either going to be making money or losing money. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong or look stupid or not. They asked Charlie, is another Great Depression possible? He said, of course we're having a recession. The only question is how big it's going to be and how long it's going to last. I think we do know that this will pass, but how much damage and how much recession and how long it's going to last, nobody knows. He said, I don't think we're going to have a long-lasting Great Depression like before. I think the government will be so active that we won't have one like that. But we may have a different kind of mess, especially with all this money printing, because that may start to bother us, which is another theory I've seen recently, that all this money printing and inflation, it's not going to hit us right now because there's no demand. There's nothing to push prices up in the first place. But when the economy comes back and then all of a sudden the Fed has this huge balance sheet and they're stimulating so much, inflation might spark and go up. And then we might have a problem like Charlie's talking about. But we don't know. Then they asked, can the government reduce its role in the economy once the virus is under control? And Charlie said, I don't think we know exactly what the macroeconomic consequences are going to be. I do think sooner or later we'll have an economy back, which will be a moderate economy. It's quite possible that never again, not again in a long time, will we have a level of employment again like we just lost. We may never get that back for all practical purposes. I don't know. So he's saying that there might be some permanent damage here, which I can definitely see when all these businesses are getting wiped out. And what's interesting is to think about the businesses that will survive through this, which are the huge corporations like Amazon, Walmart, and then all of a sudden you come out into an America that looks way different than it looked before because there's just a few big giants serving all our needs and all the competition got wiped out. Is that a good thing? Again, I don't know. Amazon is almost at monopoly status, but we all enjoy, you know, those packages right away. 1 hour delivery, free Amazon Prime, low prices, great deals. It's good now, but what's it mean long term? I don't know. But generally, lower competition is never good for an economy, and it's not good for the consumer long term. Munger also said that Berkshire isn't going to escape untouched. This will cause us to shutter some businesses. We have a few bad businesses that we could be tolerant of as members of the family. Somebody else would have already shut them down. But because of this, of what's happening now, we've got a few businesses, small ones, we won't reopen when this is over. Munger said, I don't have the faintest idea whether the stock market is going to go lower than the older lows or whether it's not. The coronavirus shutdown is something we have to live through. You got to let the chips fall where they may. What else can you do? That's what I'm saying. You got to be comfortable saying you don't know what's going to happen. But the only way you're going to be comfortable saying that is if you have a plan and investment strategy in place. Because if you have a good strategy, then you don't actually need to know what's going to happen next because you can't. All you can do is manage your money and your investments in a way that survives through whatever happens, which sounds super difficult, but really it's not, because the key comes down to risk control. Another famous Buffett quote is the 2 rules of investing. Rule number 1, never lose money, and rule number 2, never break rule number 1. And that's Buffett's shout out to risk control. The whole value investing idea of that margin of safety when you're buying a business, it's a form of risk control. Me personally, I'm more of a technical guy. I set stops where I think, okay, if it hits here, then whatever I was trying to do is invalidated, the thesis. So I want to get out and minimize my losses. And I do the same thing if something takes off. When it hits a certain percentage gain, then I say, hey, at this point, I think I need to take a little bit of profits off the table. That way I know how long I'm going to hold on to a winner. Like, that's a problem that I hear a lot right now. Everybody has these winners in the stock market, but they're feeling a little shaky about why the market has been so strong. And they're wondering, should I sell? Should I not sell? And you got a whole ball of stress inside your stomach. Where if you actually had a good strategy, you wouldn't have to think about that because it was all determined beforehand. So I've been happily taking profits on a bunch of my positions that have been shooting up. I made a bunch of money on Tesla again, among other names. The point is, you want all those rules in place so you don't have to worry about predicting anything, and you can say, hey, I don't know, which is what I say to everybody when they ask me. They say, hey, Kay, what's going to happen in the market? And I go back to this. which works great because it's all Zoom now, so they could really see my expressions. But you don't gotta know with a good investment strategy, and that's the way to do it. And that's exactly what we teach in Strategy Builder Pro, how to put those rules together so you can have that type of strategy that survives and makes you money regardless of what the market is doing. So again, this closes down Sunday at midnight, so check it out right now. There's a link down below in the description and comments. Get enrolled so you can put that strategy to work today. And before we go here, I just wanted to end with this incredible Buffett interview. It was uncovered in the archives by a guy named Terrible Trader on Instagram. Anyways, I'm going to play this interview for you now so you'll get a look into the key information that Buffett shares here that he's never shared anywhere else.
Where Becky Quick is with Warren Buffett, and
you should see what he's doing right now, Joe. He was rubbing his cock.
well, I shouldn't.
Warren, thank you for being here today. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Is it hard?
Well, it's strong, but a little softer than it was 6 months ago. But it's down from a very good level.
Is it a decline in confidence, or is it coming off of levels where there was unusual activity ahead of that?
Well, it isn't really down. It's just it leveled off and a little softer maybe now, but with a steeper curve. That is to some extent a curse of size.
Is that particularly because you have a large cock?
Well, that is true.
I've seen it. Guys in the control room, sorry, this is not where I told you I was going, but all right, let me test you on your thick cock.
Okay. Wow.
You thought about that for a second.
I feel my jaws lock up. If you get it all the way, I'll give you my Berkshire Hathaway share.
That's why it's important to listen up when legends like Warren Buffett speak. We're just blessed to be here listening to this wisdom. Thank God he's here to guide us. So check out Strategy Builder Pro if you haven't already. That link is down below. And subscribe to this channel if you like this video and want more. We got a bunch of them coming out all the time. So like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Stay fallible out there. Bye.